Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. As always, I want to thank everybody for their support over on Patreon.
We are so grateful. Thank you.
We couldn't do it without you guys. Exclusives going up there. There's exclusive playlists too. And we do post exclusives up there more than once, typically each week, but we guarantee to do it at least once a week. And shoot, I just went through emergency surgery and you can't slow me down. Just saying, it's in me. Got to work. So much to do, so much to share with you guys. These are critical times. And then here over on YT, we have Evolutionary Energy Arts. You can join and become a member over there. So there are exclusives coming up over here as well. As you can see, all the ones that have gone up recently over here on Evolutionary Energy Arts. There are 2 different levels. And again, it does show support for the channel. And we do truly appreciate it, as, it is a lot of work what we do. And we do appreciate you guys and your support. This is a representation from Greek mythology of the Fates. And immediately what I think of is I think of this as what you see as a thread, right? And you see she's got a knife. And these are the 3 Fates. So this is interesting mythology. I think there's often a lot of truth hidden away in the mythology. As you see, humans here, it looks like somebody just gave birth over here, a family running and playing. And this is probably representing death over here. And this thread, what does that represent? Right away to me, it speaks totally of the silver cord. That's initially what hits me. The silver cord is said to connect the physical body and the astral body, acting as an energetic umbilical cord that transfers information. The cord keeps us safe during astral projection and tugs us back to our body if danger presents. Have you ever been out and about in the astral and all of a sudden something happens close to you and you're snapped back into your body, and at first you can't move? You can get paralysis if you're snapped back into the body, sleep paralysis, if it comes back too quickly. Sometimes it can be hard to line up the energy bodies. Sometimes if you do get snapped back into the body physically, the astral, you can also get a headache or have weird buzzing sounds. There's a lot of different things that can happen when we're out and about and all of a sudden something happens and it brings us back to the body.
I've noticed with myself, it's stress. Stress will put me into sleep paralysis. Stress does a lot of weird things to me at night. It can put me into nightmares. So I really have to watch my stress levels, because it is very uncomfortable if you land in that sleep paralysis spot because you're a little bit out of alignment or your energy has been kind of stressed out of your body, and that definitely has an effect on you. So one thing, I used to have sleep paralysis. It was so bad. It was so horrible. It seemed like almost nightly for a very long time. And believe it or not, one of the things that helped me was to learn the LBRP. But after that,
Lesser banishing ritual,
yes,
the pentagram.
Yep, the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, that was really helpful. But my diet, guys, my diet had a lot to do with I was out of alignment with the food that I was eating. It was messing with my energy. So there's a couple things. If it's pretty bad, there's a couple things you can do right away to help it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cord, it looks a silvery blue. A silver blue is the color of the cord, and I do believe it to be very, very real. Again, there's so much hidden away in mythology that does have some truth to it. So the Fates in Greek mythology, hanging by a thread. The Fates, Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos, were divinities in Greek mythology who presided over human life. Together, the Fates represented the inescapable destiny of humanity. In Greek mythology, the Fates were, again, divine beings who personified the birth, life, and death cycle of humans. According to the ancient Greeks, the actions of humans were predestined. Now, you will find that in any tradition we go into, not everybody fully agrees on all this. But there is kind of like a mainstream view. I think we're all used to that concept of there being a mainstream view that comes in and dominates, just like when we talk about the Gnostics. Now they'll kind of talk as if all the Gnostics had exactly the same beliefs. Well, no, there was disagreement and there was debates that happened. So humans still had free will, but the fates knew the ultimate choices and actions of each person. In the afterlife, a human would be judged not on what deeds they had done, but on how they had reacted to and coped with life's challenges. The three fates of Greek mythology, again, were Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos, and each had a different role in weaving the fate of humankind. So you have the first of the fates, Clotho. In ancient Greece, they were also called the Moirai. This translates as allotted portion or share. The idea was that the fates would deal out humankind's allotted portions of life. The three fates each had a different role in the process of handing out fates or portions. First of all, there was Clotho the spinner. When a human was in the womb, Clotho had a duty of weaving the threads of their life. Greek myth often uses textile metaphors to convey intangible destiny. The metaphor often appears in descriptions as well as in art, as the weaving of the threads borne on a loom, or in some cases spinning fibers into yarn. Each thread represents one soul's life. This thread would follow the path of a human life, including their future choices and actions, and the consequences that could be created. Clotho would begin the spinning the thread while the human was in the womb, so she is often referred to during pregnancies or during the birth of human beings. He must look to meet whatever events his own fate, and the stern Clotho, twisted into his thread of destiny when he entered the world and his mother bore him. This is from Homer's The Odyssey. The choices of mankind were not absolute. Instead, there was a freedom in choice, and the fate of human depended on conditional choices. The fates would take all the decisions and outcomes into account when they wove the thread. The second fate, Lachesis was the second of the Moirai, or fates, and her role was to measure the thread of a human's life. Her name translates as the allotter, which fits her role as the one who allots a portion of mortal life to each soul. Lachesis would determine how long a human would live and hence how many trials they would face in their life. Within the thread lay the fate of each soul. This is the word of Lachesis, the maiden daughter of Ananke, necessity. Souls that live for a day now is the beginning of another cycle of mortal generation where birth is the beacon of death. This is from Plato's Republic. And then the third fate, Atropos. Third sister was Atropos, whose name translates as unturnable, or she who cannot be turned. Her name refers to her unshakable position as the most stubborn of the fates. She was supposed to cut the thread of fate, and at the point of the cut, the mortal life would end. Thus, Atropos resembles the death of a human. After the cut, the soul would then be sent to the underworld for judgment, after which it would be sent to Elysium, the fields of punishment, or the fields of Asphodel. Comes the blind fury with abhorrent shears and slits the thin-spun life. John Milton, Lycidia. Atropos' role was vital. She chose how each person would die. She decided on the circumstances of their death, whether that was noble or ignobly was up to her. The fates were often depicted as old women and sometimes as young goddesses. So it majorly depends on artistic preference. Many representations show Atropos as an old woman. So you could see then the three could be, in some ways, like maid, mother, and crone. And so she chose when people would die, and Clotho as the young woman. She was also present when women gave birth. Their appearance may not have been absolute. But one consistency in their depiction is with loom or yarn. The thread is always a staple feature to identify the fates. They are often creating tapestries depicting a human life. So in Plato's Republic, the Moirai are suggested to be the daughter of Ananke. That's interesting. Ananke was a primordial deity of inevitability or necessity. She passed on an element of this role to her children, the fates, as they came to symbolize both the necessity of birth, life, and death, but also the inevitability of fate and the events destined to occur in a human's life. Alternatively, the fates are suggested to be the daughters of Nyx, the goddess of the night. In Hesiod's Theogony, he writes, also night, Nyx, bear the destinies and the ruthless avenging fates, who give men at their birth both evil and good to have, and they pursue the transgressions of men and gods until they punish the sinner with sore penalty. This is a slightly darker interpretation, as the fates as the daughters of night or Nyx suggest a gloomy and pessimistic outlook on the cycle of the soul in Greek myth. However, as the daughters of Ananke, the fates are not negative or positive; they're objective in a sense. That these things will just happen. Third suggestion is that the fates are the daughters of Themis, the goddess of justice and divine order. Hence, the fates are continuations of the divine order of life. Without them, the cycle of souls would be in chaos. This points to the idea that the Greeks had about the importance of the natural order or balance. Life and death were in opposition to the destructive nature of chaos. The fates or moirai, and their literal translation as the alloters, is closely associated with the ancient Greek word meros, meaning part or lot, and moros, fate or doom. These terms are commonly used alongside the fates and were seen as given lots and assigning doom or fate, often with somber connotations of death. However, these terms in ancient Greek are also used in common daily activities, such as giving merit, meros, or portion of food, to each participating diner. Ancient Greece thought was often concerned with the shares allotted to humankind and how each person would receive their portion, whether this be in such commonalities as food, land, or treasure, or abstracts like glory and death. To take someone's share or lot, you would be taking their rightful portion as assigned by fate. And in the case of Achilles, the Greek hero who fought in the Trojan War, he was assigned his portion, or Moria, I have a hard time with that word, Moria, the share of the whole of the treasure. After the Greeks had sacked the city, his portion was to receive was a woman named Briseis. Women were seen as possessions and prizes, just like cattle and furniture in Homeric society. However, Agamemnon, the king of the Greeks, demanded Briseis be handed over to himself out of greed. After Briseis was taken, Achilles was supremely offended. To take Briseis was to take Achilles' assigned portion by fate. This was a great insult to both his honor and identity as a human with an apportioned lot. This is really referencing such biblical terms. We see so many biblical terms that are in congruence with this. Deuteronomy 32:8. Yahweh's apported lot, his portion. The portioning out of, again, the tribes of the world according to the number of the tribes of Israel according to the Bible, which again is mistranslation. I think when you look to the Greek mythology, what we're really looking at, and when we look at the Hebrew Abrahamic tradition and the Greek, they're coming from the same root. And to me, these are all coming again. They're more like Sumerian stories to me. So I do feel the Sumerian energy in here, where again humans are the playthings of the gods and are used and abused. And there's this negativity around it in so many ways, and kind of belittlement of humans in so many ways. So this goes on to that famous story where Helen of Troy and everything, and the Trojan War, which is a fascinating turning point in our history. In so many ways, the Trojan War itself is kind of a reference, I do think, to, again, the Anunnaki and Sumerian takeover of the planet. But what you have is some traditions that have been going on for a much longer time that end up being absorbed and reformed, absorbed into the conquering culture, and then reformed in a way that it's suitable to the conquering culture and the story they want to give us. Because again, history is his story. It's the story of the victors. So I find there is some truth in this, and there is some interesting takes on this. Now, there is thought to be in many occult circles these lords of karma, and this right here is the goldenpathway.org, talking about the great karmic board, the lords of karma, a body of 8 ascended masters who are assigned the responsibility to dispense justice and adjudicate karma, mercy, and judgment on behalf of each soul on earth. Again, when I see this, I automatically think of Ma'at, which, again, Ma'at in the Egyptian mythology measures the soul against the weight of a feather. And if your soul is not lighter than a feather, then, you're going to have to spend some time in some maybe not so great places. Again, I do not think that these things are given on us as punishment. I do think karma is very, very real. Karma is simply the currency of manifest reality, in my mind. I do think there are sorts of lords of karma. I do think there are beings that are always watching. And then, of course, we have the watchers. We have watchers from history. The Strigoi, are literally, and the Gregori, if we look to Italian tradition and the witchcraft, Wiccan traditions, the watchers and these also stellar lords that watch over everything that happens and nothing ever gets escaped. Well, yeah, everything is marked down. It's marked down in the ether, the etheric records, the Akashic records. Everything, every single thing is really written down in the true cloud, so to speak, and can be accessed at any time.
Yeah, there's no getting away from it. You cannot hide from God. Everything that you do, it's recorded. It's recorded in this world. So you can pretend you didn't do it. You can, when you do bad things, or you're dishonest with yourself, or you're dishonest with others, or you're playing a trick on someone, you can pretend you didn't do it, but the ether records. It's always recording. You cannot stop that. So there is karma for that, but it's not up to any one particular person to judge. I think it's just up to, those who understand it and know to point it out, and then other people, whatever they have done karmically that's good or not good, well, that's theirs.
Yes, and you don't escape it, So, again, this is something to understand. One thing that, again, a lot of people have had problems trying to rationalize is the whole concept in Christianity of a blood sacrifice to atone for all your sins. No, you can't escape your karma. I mean, you can't. And this is, again, where the system is always trying to entice us, in that sense. Yes, you should be always trying to raise your frequencies. And when you are working on raising your frequencies, you're simply going to usually just constantly choose the higher path. It just becomes a way of life. It's like retraining your taste buds, and you go from soda and sugary cookies every day to maybe some sort of fizzy water that's healthier, and some sort of cookies that are made healthier. With maybe, something like honey or some other alternatives. It's the same thing when we're retraining ourselves to look at every act that we do, every word that we speak, and trying to take the highest path, trying to be the best person we can be. I think, again, we can get caught up with the negative, and, you have that stop sinning, et cetera, but when you focus too much on the negative, that's going to lower your frequency. So you don't want to focus on the negative, yet at the same time, you don't want to ignore things that need to be changed. So I think, again, ultimately, who is really judging us? It's really ourselves, our higher selves, are the ones that are judging us, because we come here as an opportunity to learn, to love, to live, and to grow.
I think when it comes to karmic payment, you always have to keep in mind there's good and bad. There is duality with it. And when we're here in the 3D in this very dense form, this is the place where we are able to correct our karma in the most profound, significant way. And one thing that I picked up long ago when I was really, really sick, I was so sick, pain. I realized I had an out-of-body experience, and I realized that all the pain, all the agony, all the trauma, every little ounce of just angst that I went through in this life had a reverse effect when I was out of the body. It was really quite interesting. It's like all of that pain was doing something for me karmically. It was releasing some type of negative karma, because I certainly did not have that when I was out of the body, and I felt the love of source. It all came back to me in a positive way, and I actually learned how to, because I was like physically I was in a lot of pain, just constant for months and months, and I rewired my brain to have the understanding, when I am feeling this pain, it is actually healing, and it's not a bad thing. And it was out of that desperation that I learned to do the rewiring of my brain, and I was able to come to these understandings and have that out-of-body experience. And then I put it all together for myself, that pain is a way to balance your karma. I'm not suggesting that anyone put themselves in pain in any way, shape, or form deliberately, but if your soul, if your higher self, my higher self wanted me to experience something for a good reason, and I did, and it did, and it was an interesting journey, and I feel I learned a lot, and it was something very beneficial to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you'll see different names in different traditions with similar concepts, whether we're looking at Buddhism or Hinduism, Jainism. We look at all these different pagan points of view. Ultimately, yeah, there are those beings that don't come into incarnation, that guide the process from above. And so, we obviously do have archangels and angels and all sorts of guides. Again, in these times now, we have kind of like our own modern mythology has developed. I've been calling on Kuan Yin every day, and Kuan Yin is very embodiment of mercy and forgiveness. And so by pulling in her energy with her mantras into my energy field, it's going to temper the moments that I get irritated. It's going to temper my reactions. It's going to readjust my sight, so instead of getting pulled down into the muck and the mire, you are lifted up. There's a reason why, again, the guides can't come in and do things for us. You can't really have like the Galactic Federation dematerialize from 50 and just wipe out all the Draco and the reptilians, because we're here for a purpose, to learn and to grow. It's like, again, you have to overcome the bullies in your neighborhood. You can't just simply hire a bodyguard to do the work for you. You have to do the work. This is what the higher self has placed us in these positions for. So this brings me to the tarot, because one of the things that came out from the guides when they wanted to let me know I was going to be facing some health challenges, and they showed me in the cards, and yet they did it in such a way that they didn't tell me exactly what was going to happen. You have to use your own discernment. At the same time, from doing the cards for, gosh, I guess I'm getting close to 40 years. I started doing the cards when I was around 20. So, hey, I'm 60. So, yeah, it's been about 40 years of doing the cards. Something had shifted in my mid-20s after maybe about 4 or 5 years of doing the cards, where they all of a sudden started to really work. I mean, to really work, where, I could do a layout and then the next day, again, I'll get the same cards will pop up again. And the likelihood is very, very low because I like to use 5, 6, or 7 decks, so we are talking 3, 4, 500 cards. What's the chances of pulling the same cards out of that many? It's really low. But the guides can make the right cards appear in order to trigger something in me that understands the situation from looking at the pictures and from getting the guidance. And so, this is how the guides can tell us things without interfering with karma. So in a long drawn out way, what I was trying to get out in this whole video is you can utilize something like tarot, or maybe it's a different script. Like utilizing an Agam script, utilizing different types of rituals. Some people will literally in the old days throw sticks, throw stones, tea leaves. My grandma did tea leaves.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways. There's chicken bones, which is kind of gross, but people do it. They find animal bones and they feel that is very significant to them. It means something to them. So whatever it is, it needs to mean something to you, because the guides are always available to communicate to you through indirect manners. So when we are having a session with someone, I mean, Mike, he's really, really, really good tarot reader, and the stuff that comes up is just uncanny. And sometimes we parallel that with a card, with an astrology reading. And we look at someone's transits, and you can see the consistency between the cards and the planets and how that comes up. But once you're activated, you kind of have a different type of energy when it comes to working with tarot or some other divination tool. It definitely, I remember before I was activated, I would hold a pendulum and it would just sit there. But directly after I was activated, the pendulum just started swinging like crazy, and it kind of set me back. It scared me a little bit at first, but that's activation. And when you're activated and you have a relationship with the cards and you have a relationship with all of your guides, then your guides are able to talk to the person that you're working on, their guides, and it becomes a meeting. It becomes information that's very valuable to the person and gives them some really, really good directions direction in life without interrupting them and just stepping in to communicate with them directly, because that is a no-no. The communication has to be indirect. So you would also look to music for communication. You would look for communication. Angel numbers are great, through other people, the things that other people say. Mirroring is another one. So you'd want to look and see what other people are talking to you about and see if your guides are trying to speak through them directly to you. But again, they cannot speak directly. It's got to be indirectly for karmic purposes. That's so, so important for our growth.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is what the guides said, and they said it so clearly. Again, this was channeling from Cindy, which, it's an advantage that we have, is the fact that she could channel like that. And so they said, yeah, this is us. We were conveying to you that you're going to have some challenges, but everything is going to be okay. And in fact, you're going to move to a higher level after this. As going through all the pain and the suffering I did burned some of my own negative karma. And so it's allowing me to go to a different area now and achieve like a higher level of clarity and efficiency. So, this is the reality of the situation we are in. And as Cindy was alluding to, pain and suffering does burn karma. And not that we want to do any crazy things, but when you are going through a period of time, when you've gone through a lot of a period of pain and suffering and challenges, there's several things going on there. One of the things is a course correction to come more in alignment with the higher self, or it could simply be that this is a period in time in which you decided you're going to burn karma and level up. Or sometimes, we don't, and we end up checking out and then we'll come back and do it again from a different angle and a different body with different parents and the like. I wanted to also, well, hand this back to Cindy, give one more thing that burns karma, at least is stated to burn karma.
Well, it's something that if it's happening to you naturally, I should say that it's if naturally, if you're going through some type of trauma, if you're going through an enormous amount of pain, what I did in my journey is I told myself that this has profound purpose, and it really did. It really did. I mean, my life changed because when it was all said and done, and finally I did get a release from the pain, I was a whole nother person. It was truly being born again. That was amazing and incredible, and I wouldn't take that back for anything.
No, and you can find our mantra playlist, which is right over here. And these Vedic mantras are extremely powerful. They are so far beyond the power of, again, unfortunately, English, because English was something, it was a language that was created during the Kali Yuga. So, this language comes from pre-Kali Yuga. The Gayatri mantra, the mother of all mantras. The Gayatri mantra is believed to have the power to burn away karma, according to various sources. It's said that those who chant the Gayatri mantra regularly can achieve mental peace and remove negative energies from their lives. Additionally, it's mentioned that those who chant 7 times daily burn their karma. The mantra is considered to be the mouth of the ultimate Brahman and is believed to help in the realization of the Akash Tattva. And we're going to talk about the Tattvas. I'm going to probably be doing the Tattvas in the next Developing Superhumans Abilities series over on Patreon. And salvation after 3 years of regular chanting. Yeah, it's very powerful. It's very beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful mantras, I think, ever. And it's one of Cindy's favorites.
Mm-hmm. I do enjoy it. I like it. It does something. It does something. And every now and then I'll just get this feeling or this wave of energy. It's like I need to get up and do these mantras. So I just get up and do them. And then I'll find out later on that, oh, wow, this thing happened that was, very helpful for me. And I realized that was the energy coming through the ether. And that was something telling me do these mantras, to assist in this thing coming together and bringing harmony to your life.
Absolutely. Get out there and play. Often the guides will say, that all work and no play makes you a dull boy. And you're not here to just simply work, though. We are here also to enjoy. To enjoy wonderful things like pizza and cheesecake. I'm just saying, that is part of why we come here. We come here for the heaviness of the experiences. In more ways than one, because again, not just learning, we are here to enjoy and to share and to express gratitude and love for this opportunity to be human, because it's just a temporary state.
I love strawberry cheesecake.
Oh my God, I do too. And we love you guys, so look forward to your comments. Please do like, share, subscribe, join us on Patreon or become a member on YT as well. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.